Welcome to the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie, powered in part by Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie here at Denton Radio on the Square. Tonight we have Cecily Carr with Heartwork Collective. She's going to be here talking to us tonight about all the stuff that she does and how to get involved with her or how to find her and see what she's up to. So thank you, Cecily, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I met Cecily informally on Instagram. I don't know how I stumbled upon your page, and I just happened to click, and I got really curious because your name was Heartwork. Heartwork as in artwork, Heartwork Collective. So I was like, let me see what this is about.
Yes.
And I'm always, got my eye peeled for new people to have on the show and, talent anywhere as far as Denton County, Denton, and to bring into the studio. And I was like, okay, well, I saw you had all these photos of all this artwork happening. And I'm like, what is she doing? Let's see. Because I don't know who these people are. I've never heard of them. That was just me. I'm sure there's a group out there that's like, oh, yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. And so I wanted to see more or learn more about you. And then as I started reading on your website, I remember telling you, wow, I'm really impacted by your mission, which really left me thinking about you all day because whatever I read, I remember thinking, gosh, this really made me feel very, very, I believe I said at peace or something like that to you when I read your blog post that it, led off into. And so I was like, I have to have her on. I want to talk to her. So we're going to let her tell you who she is. But let's find out who Cecily is as a Dentonite.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Those words make my heart feel so good. And I just want to cry because I'm like, that's all I want to do is just provide peace and just,
nice.
Yeah, peace. So I am Cecily, and I live in Louisville, which is Denton County. I moved here about 3 years ago. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, so I've been here. I'm just living my best life.
Nice.
I work in West Dallas as a teacher full time. And yeah.
So you have your hands full
during
the day.
Yes. 10th graders.
Oh, really? Okay. You really have your hands full. Because I know they're constantly, hey, what about this? It's a whole level of, how the kids, when they're a certain age, they're like, hey, can I do this? Can we? At that age, it's a whole different ball game with questions. So what happens if, are you telling me? So
right.
I can imagine.
I cannot talk to you about that. Go talk to your parents.
So let's go ahead and flip the switch a little bit and talk about your passion for how we lead into your project, which is Heartwork Collective. So what was going on in your brain before this started happening, before it formulated, before it was founded?
Right. So I originally moved to Texas to start life over. I dealt with a divorce, and I was just I need change. And so with that came with anxiety and kind of unsureness, slight depression, just because I'm what's happening in the world. So when you don't have
your support system,
it's just what do you do? So I started writing, started with Bougie Black Blogger. And it was thriving after divorce, but then I was like, look, it's hard.
Yeah.
So why don't we just talk about thriving in life, period? So my blog became more of a self-help, supporting businesses, women owned, and Black entrepreneurs. And so with the stress, I started teaching when I moved here. And so the expectations are high. I go home and I'm just exhausted. And so I started painting with my aunt. We went to Michael's one day and we were let's do some art. And I grabbed watercolor. My aunt grabbed watercolor, and my cousin grabbed a journal to do planning. And so we were what are we gonna do? And so we started watercoloring. Me and my aunt created like this bond, and then it was so peaceful. I wasn't doing it to become a famous artist. I was just doing it because, when you create, it calms your body, your heart rate slows down, you become one with the piece of work that you're working on, and it's just like you find a sense of like zen, and just like it allows you to decompress and just, be be cool, right?
Yeah.
And so I learned that this was healing. Like this was my sanctuaries. I would be at work and be like, oh, I just want to go home and create. I just want to go home and paint, because I knew that like that would help me. And some people do other things to help them, and I felt like this was like more of a, like, I like having a tangible thing. So like when you're creating, whatever's in your heart, your mind, your spirit, it comes out on paper, and it's like, okay, you're getting it out. And it's beautiful. It can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be beautiful. And so I knew that it was healing, and I wanted to offer this to other people. And I know my purpose here in this world is to provide resources. I'm an educator, like I'm supposed to be there, a support system, and just help people be their best selves. And so eventually it turned into Heartwork Collective, because I was like, yo, I really want to do therapeutic art workshops and just like help people, and you know.
So it's so interesting that you say that, because a lot of times one of the biggest things that I feel when life challenges us or even knocks us down, when we're on our knees, and you're going to be either two types of people. You're either going to be one that gets swallowed up by the situation, or you're going to be one that rises from the ashes.
Right.
And sometimes you can be both, and you just have to wait for that transformation to happen. And when you finally get to the point where you understand that life has crushed you for whatever reason, we've all been there, and you have an opportunity.
Right.
There is a hidden gem in that challenge,
Right.
in that pain, that challenge,
yeah.
that whatever it is. There's a hidden gem, and that's the opportunity to learn.
Right.
The opportunity to learn something new that is going to be beneficial for your soul, for your healing, for the reconstruction of who you are as a human
Right.
being. And a lot of people dismiss the fact that art, writing, music is exactly what some of us need. It may not be for everyone, but it is
Right.
exactly what some of us need and crave and don't even know it.
Right.
So when you open up this whole new world of writing and poetry and painting and music, or something new, or a foreign language, anything that is completely opposite of what you've been dealing with, you will surprise yourself.
Right.
Because little do you know that you have a fire that has been dormant
Right.
for whatever reason. Life happens and we become busy, and that's all inevitable. But you are able to literally, you just have this passion that will
Right.
grow from nothing, basically. And it's usually in those moments when we think life has defeated us that we grow the most.
Right.
So I relate to that. I absolutely love talking to people about healing, art therapy, or writing or music. Obviously, the Denton Vibe is all about that. So when I saw you, I was like, oh, this is perfect. We need more people that do this. And I bet you went, like you said, you went into it thinking you just need something to distress,
Yeah.
and it ended up being more rewarding than you
Right.
realized. And so when did you decide that you had to offer it to other people? Not just like, oh, it's just an idea, maybe one day, but you're
Yeah.
like, no, I have to offer this to other people.
So, I started Heartwork in September, and it was just like I love doing like workshops and speaking to people, and I was like, how can I get out there and talk to people and provide this really cool opportunity? And like I said, I feel like it's a part of my purpose. I do feel like this is like my type of ministry, right? So I get to talk to people. I'm not a counselor. I'm not certified. However, I want to like create these opportunities where people are open, they open up And it's super cool because like I just did a workshop and it was a mother and her three kids. And the mom was just like, "This is so relaxing. This is so peaceful." Like, and it was just what they said. I was just like, "Man, this is my mission. This is my ministry. This is what I'm supposed to be doing." And so I'm trying to think. So let's rewind. So I keep seeing this number 1234, 1234, 1234. And usually when I saw it, I was I was thinking about like Heartwork Collective. And so I like numbers and numerology a little bit, but so I looked it up. And so when you see 1234, it's consecutive. It's going in order. Yes. So like you're on the right journey, on the right path. And I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." So, and you see signs all around. You know, you pray, meditate, whatever you do. And I was just like, "Okay, this is it. This is it."
So you were on the right path. And so you started offering it to other people, obviously. So what was it like to have your very first session with people that were literally not family? And
Right.
what was that like for you?
So when I signed up, like I created my first workshop at a yoga studio in Dallas, and I had no one signed up for it. And so then I was going around my job. I was like, "I need some people to come to my workshop. I just need help. You don't have to pay. I have it. I just need you to come." And so my friend and coworker, she came out and invited two of her friends. And I was just like, "This is it." I'm not expecting to get like rich off of this. This is not what it's about. And it was just super cool to have them in front of me and really like calm down. And my friend, she was just like, she kept thinking about it over and over, and she was like, "That was really good. And so then she's like, "I need you to be at these different events." And I just was like, "Yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing." Like, cause I don't, one thing that I like about it is because you get like a tangible thing. It's like you can keep it
Instant.
yeah. And then, so like you can always just like talk to a therapist, which is fine, but it's like having something in your hand to look at and to connect with, feel, like, because touch is healing
Tactile
too. Just it sticks a little bit more, right?
Well, not only that, it kind of challenges your boundaries.
Right.
It does, because you're like, okay, I did this. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
I can do better.
Yeah.
And you do. And you start challenging yourself. And now we have such information at our fingertips all the time. It's very easy to find inspiration. It's very easy to find tutorials. And so it doesn't have to be so complicated like we always make things to be. So, it's really interesting to see people go in thinking, "I cannot do this," or "I don't know what I'm going to do." And then they come out being surprised at themselves, usually. You know?
Yeah. Because I know everybody would come in, "I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist." And I'm like, do not come in. First of all, no one can judge your stuff. We don't interpret anybody else's. This is what you are feeling in your mind. So what you create is your thing, and that is perfect in itself, right? And so like I have to always like tell them, like, "You guys, this is not, you're not creating sculpture. This is just for you."
Yeah.
Right. And so once they get over that like hump of like, frustration or
the Picasso syndrome.
Yeah. And they're like, and I'm like, "Don't look at other people's and compare yours either. This is you."
Well, it's more about, if you really think about it, it is really about the experience that you're having and tuning into yourself. It's tuning into your vibe. It is completely different than saying, "Okay, we're having an art contest. The winner gets their image posted all over town." No, that's completely different.
Yeah.
This is more self-healing, self-searching, you're soul-searching.
Right.
And it's funny when you said that you started this, you had moved here and you were like, "I got to find," you're basically finding your niche. What am I doing?
Right.
Because I know when I first moved to Denton, I used to live in Dallas. Dallas had everything accessible to you at your fingertips. Jump in the car, I'm there, everything. And when I first got to Denton, it was a little different than it is now. And I'm very thankful what we have now, because it has grown so wonderfully here in Denton. So it was a culture shock to me to go from having all my family instantly, literally within a minute or two
Right.
away from me, to coming here with no one around me other than my husband's family at that time. And it was a shock to me. So
Yeah.
I was like, I had to find my niche. It was, you had to start digging around to find your people. And who are
Right.
my
That
people? The
community.
poets, the artists, so I can imagine that
Yeah.
you wanted community as well,
Yep.
not just as a workshop leader, a
Right.
presenter, an artist, but you crave that
Right.
interaction with people. So it's an ebb and flow type of thing.
Right.
So, okay, now when you go into your workshops, what is it like? What can people expect?
All right. So my workshops are really cool. You don't have to buy any supplies unless you want to keep your own journal. And usually
Nice.
I gift people with journals as well when they
Mhm.
purchase, the fee. So I have all the supplies. I have paint. I have like pastels, paper, glue. I have an art cart that I
Yeah.
carry with me. And so I put it out there and they sit down at their spot and it's like we start with like intentions and just kind of like not trying to work on not being so stressed about the situation because like you're becoming more vulnerable, especially if you're participating in it with people you don't know. So it's like you got to figure out how to break down those walls. So I do different activities depending on what group it is, who they are, what they want. So sometimes I can tailor it to like families or whatever they're seeking. Otherwise, I'll have my particular activities. But yeah, so they come in, sit down. Sometimes there's snacks, depends on where we're at. And then I, do the whole introduction, who I am and what this is all about. And then we go in, depending on what workshop they chose.
Okay, so what kind of workshops do you offer?
All right. So I have a lot. One of my favorite though is visual journaling. And
Nice.
so what this is kind of like a vision board 2.0 slash journaling 2.0, like just putting all this
Slash
stuff.
planning.
Yes, slash planning, because what you're doing, you're like intentionally thinking about, different items, creative. Like a lot of people struggle with the right words or just what to say, right? So if you think about, colors and symbolism. And so I teach that because I'm an English teacher and I'm like, yeah. So just thinking about the colors that you use and shapes, or what do you feel like? Are you a tree today? And kind of like go through these type of symbols. And so instead of just like writing words, they can find like pictures in a magazine and kind of create something based off of that. That's my favorite. Like the visual journaling is awesome because it's not just a one-time thing. You can do it weekly, you can do it monthly, depending on what you want
Or
out of it.
as you need to.
Yeah.
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 And right now, I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but bullet journaling,
Yeah.
even planning journaling, I mean, it is everywhere right
is.
now. And by that I mean it's literally the hot thing right now. It has been for a while. There's always been a journaling community,
Right.
but even more now because of our social media
Yeah, oh, yeah.
influences and the resources, techniques.
Right.
There's a technique for everything.
know.
And I think I'm pretty creative, but when you look at some of those videos, I'm like, how in the heck did they figure
Right.
to put this little piece of paper here with the stamp and this and that? And then you put your thoughts into all of that.
Yeah.
And it looks like an art book, like a
Yeah.
real, just,
And it's beautiful.
it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a piece of art. It is a piece of people's soul usually
Yeah.
because they're very personal. And I mean, it's just amazing what people do with an art journal.
Right.
I've seen some really amazing stuff. So that would be a fun class to
It
take.
is fun.
Yeah, it would be a
is.
really fun class. What else do you guys offer?
So I have my intro to therapeutic arts. And so this is me like giving you a whole bunch of different activities that you can try to implement in your life, like your daily or your monthly self-care rituals. So like just kind of giving them a sampling of things so that they could just be like, I really like this part or this, and you can take it and do whatever you want. So that's like the intro to therapeutic arts. I also have visceral, and so I want to do more. And we have Heartwork Collective. The idea is to eventually get people to do different workshops for people. So like building that community, supporting other people who do the same thing. And so like visceral is like photos and movement and sound, and that's that one. I have photo, like a photo journey. So you go around just capturing things that you think is beautiful, and then kind of just talking about it. Yeah,
Kind of like a photo walk.
yeah, photo walk. Yep, most definitely.
And you can tailor each of those to
Yep.
any kind of theme.
Yeah.
It could be, positive. It could be even something a little bit more touching and emotional,
Right.
or a little on the darker side to bring out some of those,
Right.
things that we need
Emotions.
therapy for. Yeah, those
Right.
emotions that we tend to have just locked away.
Right.
So when you do these workshops, first of all, is it all ages?
It is all ages. I recently did one over like the Thanksgiving break, and there was a 3-year-old there.
Nice.
And so she was painting. It wasn't really like saying this is what you need to paint, but she was being a part of that community and just that support system. It is mostly all ages. Just talking more for the adults, and because I'm a teacher, I do know how to talk with the youth, and so I would love to do more youth programs, getting into different schools and after school programs or church groups or whatever.
I think that's a wonderful idea. There's so many people that have the space and they want to do programs like that catered to youth,
Right.
but they just don't know where to start. And it's not to say that, they're clueless or anything. It's just that they're like, what is going to implement, what can we implement that's going to benefit the kids or the youth or whatever. And I think that is a very beneficial program because it helps center focus the kids. I obviously have nieces and nephews, and I've always given them artwork to work with, or wooden figures to paint, or canvases. And it's amazing what you can see. I don't care how crazy, bouncy, off the wall type of kid you have, they somehow always tend to just focus in on that. It's very different seeing them. And my 3 nephews, when they were growing up, they were just bouncing off the walls all the time. And you would just put paints on the table and
they would go
paint,
in.
yeah, and it would just be like, they would just zone in. And it was like that for hours until they were done. And I would be like amazed.
That's
and now
super
we've passed it on to my smaller nieces, Madison and Miley, and they will sit there and they paint, and they're, 4 and 6, and they go through canvases like
so
crazy. Crazy. I just bought them a whole pack, and now they're done with the whole 20 pack of canvases.
That's super cool.
So it's very therapeutic. I encourage it. She encourages it.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that people have told you after they experience it? Going into something like that is one thing. Like we talked about, people will say, I'm not an artist. I don't know if they can do this. They might be too small. What are some of the benefits of having your workshop?
So I know some people don't have the time, or they don't, make time to like really deeply think or reflect on things. So like one of my the participants, we did an activity and she was writing, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of thoughts and excuse me, memories kept coming up, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so just like opening up that rabbit hole of like what's really inside you. And so she was like, I have been through a lot, and I'm so grateful. Like she can see the path, like progress and growth. And she's like, yeah, she never really took the time to really think about that.
To dissect it.
Yeah. And so I thought that was super cool. And then I had like a mother and daughter do it. And so they were just like bonding together and just kind of like going back and forth. And I thought that was really beautiful because it's like, I don't know. I miss my mom. My mom's in Minnesota. So we used to do a lot of bonding activities. And so like just seeing that mother-daughter dynamic over art, creating, and just talking. They started talking like I wasn't even there anymore. And so it was just like, oh, okay. So like building or deepening that relationship. And the last family that I had, she was like, yeah, this is very therapeutic. Her children were doing these art, like it was the visual journaling class, and just seeing her interact with her children. And I know like their goal was to take a class once a month as a family.
Oh, very
And
nice.
yeah, so I was like, that is super cool. And having that opportunity that allows that community or the conversation to build and connection. And so like if you do this with your family and you want to come closer and just have that moment.
Okay, so speaking of family, I want to ask you this because I know that we all are aware that we can go
Yeah.
several places around town and go to classes. Okay, so I want to ask if you actually cater to people's houses.
Oh yeah.
So that's the kicker, guys,
Yeah.
because a lot of times when you have kids and you have more than one and they're different ages, but they all have that common
Right.
interest to do something together like that,
Yeah.
bring her to your house.
Yes.
Bring her to your kids because sometimes, it could be a little chaotic to
Right.
wrangle different aged kids into, life
Right.
and do something out of the norm.
Right.
I always refer to my sister Ray, when I tell her, come this way, she's like, I got kids. I'm like,
bring
them.
them.
No, it's hard with kids.
Aw.
So it is, and I acknowledge that, and that's okay. But yeah, you can go
Yep.
to their house, set up an actual family event, which is really cool, especially for stuff like Valentine's,
Oh,
birthday
yeah.
parties, even just one-on-one time with, like you said, a mother and a daughter. It doesn't have
Right.
to be a big class. It doesn't have to be a big setting. So that's amazing that you
Yeah.
offer that.
And I love going to homes because they feel more at ease. Like
Yes.
they're in their comfort space, and I'm just like, okay. It's funny to see them though in that because I'm like, okay,
Because they're in their
guys.
natural
Yeah,
habitat.
and I'm like, okay, come back, let's do this. So.
I can imagine it has its challenges as well. So if somebody wants to book you or join up, sign up, or find out more information, where do they go?
So yes, I have a website, heartworkcollective.co, and there's a newsletter you can sign up for. And so what I do is do a monthly newsletter, and I like curate different like challenges and prompts and different things to help you go through the process at home instead of just like always having me there. You can reach out to me. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'll come travel to you. I also have classes at Michael's. So if the last family, they booked all their tickets through Michael's in South Lake. I can do it in Denton and Louisville. And so that was kind of cool because they had it at Michael's, and
Yeah, they have a new area now. If you haven't been,
the makerspace.
we
We
and
love
you
it.
go there, it's like a little craft class, and it's kind of cool to see it happening. That's pretty neat that
Yeah.
you're owning that part of the business and
Yeah.
just taking it up on there. So that's really cool. So they can book through your website. You're on Instagram, obviously.
I am. Yep. You can send me a message, DM, and I can email you. I'm Monday through Friday from like 7 to 5 is hard because I teach.
'Cause
But
you teach?
after that and weekends we're good to go.
Okay, what's your email address?
You can send it to info@bougieblackblogger.com or cicelycar31@gmail.com. So that I have a business one, and that's like my overall, which is the Bougie Black Blogger, and I have so many businesses with that. But
Nice. You have
yeah,
your hands in everything.
I do. I'm
That's
a
how-
creative.
I was just gonna say you're
So.
creative. It's inevitable. So, speaking of the blog, so
Uh-huh.
if you want to find more information on the blog,
Yeah.
obviously you have all kinds of different stuff there. You guys have to check it out, including me, because I haven't dug into that one yet, but I knew you had the blog. So I want to go ahead and encourage you guys to check her out there
Yeah.
because she does a lot of other stuff, self-help and,
Yeah.
and motivational stuff there too. So you guys make sure to check out her blog. And you're on as the blog as well on Instagram as well.
Yes.
So you can find Heartwork Collective as well as the
Yeah.
Bougie Black Blogger.
Yep.
Okay, that's a tongue tie
It
for me. I was
is.
like, whoa. We have a little Access Alley over there, and it has art access. I always get tongue tied
Yeah.
with that too, and I always see it because it's right in front of me. But definitely check her out, Cicely. Thank you
you.
so much for doing
Thank
what you're doing
you.
for the community. I think it's important. I think it's awesome. It's very nurturing for our community, and keep doing what you're doing.
I
And you guys
appreciate
check her out. Go check out her stuff, her projects, and bring her into your house.
Yes.
Definitely don't just do it for the kids. You can do it for girls' night out.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can do it for, guys, girls. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So you guys get creative out there, okay? We'll see you next week.
Thank
you
you.
for joining us here on the Denton Vibe. Oh, and I have some announcements before I go. We have, speaking of creative, I have an event with the Lost Poet Lounge happening at Greater Denton Arts Council, along with Kitchen Sink on February 20th, 6:30 to 8:30. Love is, we have poets, we have musicians, we have dancers. Come out and support us, guys. It's really important. We're trying to draw as many people in as we possibly can, so we can all join forces collectively as poets and artists. The Revamp is also having another event called Heart on Your Sleeve, fashionable event at Golden Boy Coffee, and that's February 8th, 1 through 4. They're going to show you how to make patches, which is pretty cool. I actually wanted to learn how to do that because I started collecting patches for my little jacket, as well as the Revamp March 8th spring swap. And my outfit is Revamp tonight. So if you don't know what that means, go look it up. It's a lot of fun. Get involved, you guys. I have been having a really wonderful time with my Revamp family. So,
Sweet.
Cicely, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
being here.
appreciate
And
it.
we will see you next week on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.